We all have these incredibly powerful little computers right in our pockets, connecting us to, well, everything. But what happens when that connection starts to feel less like a helpful tool and more like a trap? Today, we're going to talk about a very modern problem, navigating the digital abyss of doom scrolling. So, does this sound familiar at all? It's late, you know you should be sleeping, but there you are, your thumb just swiping and swiping and swiping, scrolling through headline after headline. And it feels like each one is just a little bit worse than the last. It's almost like a reflex, right? A little digital twitch you can't control. Well, this thing we all do, it actually has a name, and it's a pretty good one. Doom scrolling. It's that compulsive urge to just keep soaking in all this negative information online. Even when you can feel it's making you anxious or sad or just totally overwhelmed. So, how does this whole spiral even begin? I mean, nobody picks up their phone and thinks, you know what I want to do? I want to feel absolutely terrible. The endless scroll almost always starts from a pretty good place, actually. We just want to understand what's going on. Whenever things feel chaotic and uncertain, a global crisis, political drama, something happening in your own community, our first instinct is to find information. We tell ourselves that if we just know a little bit more, we'll feel more prepared, maybe more in control. That scroll starts as a genuine search for answers. But then, something shifts. That search for answers turns into this compulsion we can't shake. And that brings us to the real question, right? Why is it so incredibly hard to just look away? Well, the answer is fascinating. It's all about a massive mismatch between our ancient, prehistoric brains and our super modern technology. Okay, so this right here is the heart of the problem. Our brains evolved over thousands of years to be really, really good at one thing, scanning our immediate surroundings for threats, like a predator hiding in the bushes. It's a fantastic survival tool. But that same system was never, ever designed to handle an infinite 24/7 fire hose of every bad thing happening on the entire planet. We're basically running Stone Age software on a supercomputer, and it is completely overloading the system. So you can really boil it down to three key things. First, it's just how we're wired. Our brains have what's called a negativity bias, meaning we are built to pay way more attention to bad news than good news. Second, there's this false sense of control. We trick ourselves into believing that knowing everything that could go wrong will somehow keep us safe. And third, and this one is huge, the technology itself is designed to be addictive. The algorithms figure out that scary, shocking stuff keeps our eyes on the screen, so they just keep feeding us more of it, creating this personalized anxiety loop. Now, it's easy to think, come on, it's just scrolling, what's the big deal? But this constant exposure to negativity, it comes with some very real and often hidden costs that impact both our minds and, believe it or not, our bodies. So first, let's talk about the mental toll. When you're constantly soaking your brain in worst-case scenarios, it does more than just make you sad for a bit. It actually starts to change your whole perception of the world, making it seem way more dangerous and hopeless than it really is. And it creates this really vicious cycle. You scroll, which triggers stress and anxiety. That anxiety then leads to what's called rumination, where you just can't stop replaying all the bad news over and over in your head. And over time, that constant loop can lead to real feelings of hopelessness, like the world's problems are just too big to ever be solved. And all that mental stress, it doesn't just stay in your head. Oh no, it triggers a powerful physical chain reaction all through your body because your brain thinks that all that bad news is a genuine, immediate threat to your survival. Every single alarming headline you read sends a little panic signal to your ancient survival system. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between a scary news alert and an actual tiger in the room. It just reacts. It hits the fight or flight button and floods your body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. So, what happens when that alarm is getting pulled day after day, hour after hour? You end up in a state of chronic stress. That constant drip, drip, drip of stress hormones can lead to inflammation all over your body. It completely messes up your sleep, especially if you scroll before bed. And over time, it can even weaken your immune system. Okay, I know all of that sounds pretty intense, and it's easy to feel a little helpless right now. But this is the absolute most important part of our whole explainer today. You are not powerless here. You can absolutely break this cycle. You can get back in the driver's seat of your relationship with your phone and the news. So here's a simple 4-step plan to take your attention back. Step 1 is just awareness. Start noticing when you're doing it. Is it right when you wake up, when you're feeling bored? That's your trigger. Step 2, set boundaries. Instead of letting the news just flood your life whenever it wants, schedule specific short times to check in. You control the flow. Step 3, replace the habit. Actively look for positive or constructive stories to balance out all that negativity. And finally, step 4, and this one is critical, disconnect. Put the phone away, especially for the last hour before you go to sleep. Let your brain calm down from that fight or flight mode. Now, to be really clear, this is not about becoming uninformed. It's not about sticking your head in the sand. It's about shifting from this reactive, compulsive scrolling to a more intentional, balanced way of staying informed. You're not ignoring the world, you're just protecting your own well-being so that you can actually show up for it in a healthy way. And here are just a few more super practical tips. Turning off non-essential notifications, that's a total game changer. It stops your phone from constantly demanding your attention. Creating phone-free zones like maybe the dinner table or your entire bedroom also works wonders. Each of these little changes adds just enough friction to break that automatic, unconscious habit of reaching for your phone to scroll. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. When you finally stop your thumb from running that endless marathon of bad news, what are you going to do with all the time and mental energy you get back? Maybe you'll read a book, call a friend, pick up an old hobby. Whatever the answer is, I promise you it is infinitely more fulfilling than anything you'll find at the bottom of a newsfeed.